The Catholic Church is back to dodging responsibility, shielding assets, and trying to block survivors from having their day in court. But this time, the Maryland Supreme Court wasn't buying it.
This is Theocracy Watch.
Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we track how church and state collide and when our rights get trampled when we're not paying attention. However, this morning we have good news. On Friday morning, the Maryland Supreme Court upheld the Child Victims Act. It's a 2023 law that removes the statute of limitations for civil lawsuits involving child sexual abuse, which means survivors can now sue no matter how long ago the abuse happened, and not just the perpetrators. They can also sue the church or the institution that enabled it. This is excellent news. Advocates have been pushing for it for years, often in the face of heavy resistance from the church, of course. Where this is typical, we're not surprised. Momentum surged after a 2023 report from Maryland's Attorney General exposed decades of abuse by more than 150 Catholic clergy and detailed cover-ups that spanned generations. We've briefly covered this in some of our Theocracy Watches segments before. That report finally broke the legislative deadlock, and the Child Victims Act was passed and signed into law in April 2023, eliminating the civil statute of limitations, opening a 2.5-year window for previously time-barred cases. Nearly 2 years the church spent fighting to kill the law, and we've grown all too familiar with how the Catholic Church throws its influence around. The Archdiocese of Baltimore filed for bankruptcy just before the law took effect. And anyone who's been paying attention can see that it's to shield assets and to block payouts. They didn't argue the abuse didn't happen. They argued they shouldn't be held liable anymore. For decades, churches have relied on legal deadlines and sealed records to protect themselves, treating time as a legal shield. But this ruling makes it clear survivors deserve their day in court. In its decision, the court rejected the church's claim that the law violated due process, affirming the constitutionality of retroactive justice in civil abuse cases. And while Maryland moves forward, other states are still caught in the grip of ecclesiastical lobbying. Across the country, religious institutions are pushing for carve-outs, exemptions, and the GOP continues to create government offices that privilege Christianity and back laws that punish dissenters who challenge its authority. It's clear the church wants to decide when and how it can be held accountable. From the start, the church buried abuse in shame and called it forgiveness. Moral authority became a shield for predators and a gag for survivors. Thankfully, though, not only does this ruling allow lawsuits, it exposes the system that made them necessary. And for once, it's not the priest delivering judgment, it's the court. This has been your Theocracy Watch. Stay diligent, y'all, and stay curious.
Isn't it? That's just not, obviously, once again, not a surprise. The Catholic Church is a repeat offender at every turn, and they spend so much money in defense and paying out victims, and they should spend money trying to educate and prevent. And I want to know, I'd be curious to know what the amount of money spent in preventing this sort of thing. You know, I mean, there's simple measures you can take in today's society about not leaving anybody alone with children. I mean, there's got to be, some preventative measures.
And even then, though, like what we face within the Jehovah's Witnesses, because it is so insular, even because they do have rules where you're not supposed, like a man and a woman are not allowed to be alone together. You're supposed to have somebody with you if you're going on a date. Like it doesn't matter if I'm 40 and I want to date a man, I have to have somebody with me to make sure that we don't go beyond what we're supposed to. But even still, because within the church, there is that authority, and these men, just because they're men, hold authority over women. So they
Yes.
gain this trust, and unfortunately, they often take advantage of it. So, this child is used to seeing this person as an authority figure, and that leaves a door open to where they do find a time where they can be alone because maybe the parents trust them or the congregate. You see where this is going. So unfortunately,
Absolutely.
even if you make those rules, you can't remove that hierarchy.
Right. True. No. I get you. It's a pipe dream in my head,
It is. It's a pipe dream I wished for too. You're not the
And
only one.
here's pragmatic Crystal dropping some knowledge. Over $5 billion in U.S. settlements. Reports from the National Catholic Reporter and OSV News indicate that Catholic dioceses and eparchies in the U.S. have spent more than $5 billion on settlements. I wonder if that's including lawyers' fees and paying out the victims, or if that's just victims.
Right. Yeah.
And God is not a preventative measure. Absolutely not.
Wait, God can't stop abuse? Huh?
I know. That's weird. Almost as though he's not real. Wait.
But Jehovah's Witnesses say that God wouldn't allow that in his holy organization. So that's impossible.
Indeed. Clearly. You must be wrong. You must have hallucinated all
I'm not
those
praying enough.
You're not praying hard enough. Pray hard.
My faith is weak.
That's it. Your faith. They think they're not only above the law. They think that the law does not apply to them. Now they've gotten to the point to where they create the law. So
that's the scary part.
I feel like not enough people realize what $1 billion is. And how much $5 billion is, and how much money that they could spend. Again, a fraction of that amount of money. They could even pay for a fraction of that an outside contractor to come in and lay down and like you said, part of the problem is the people of authority within the church. Bring in somebody from the outside to make sure that these rules are followed, like OSHA, for example.
Yeah. They talk about creating jobs. This would, we write these laws, but we have nobody really to make sure that they're being upheld. We don't have systems, right? We just create laws and now, okay, what happens? So it would be awesome to create these laws, then create jobs to train people on how to do this work.
Absolutely. And people will argue that the Catholic Church is a force for good. And I would say that it may in some points or some ways be, but overall it's harmful to society. And the good things it does do not outweigh the bad things it does, and that it should be just removed from society.
Yeah.
If Hardee's were doing these things, if Walmart had a history of CSA the way the Catholic Church has a history, if Walmart had to pay out $5 billion because people, employees, managers at their stores were abusing, you know what I mean? Things would be changed. Walmart would be shut down. Why does the Catholic Church get to continue running? Well, Catholic Church does good things. Let's see the Catholic Church, if we can, as a diamond. It's a diamond with many facets, but on one facet, on one side of it, actually it's many different facets. You've got not only the child's SA facet, that a facet alone tarnishes the entire diamond, and all the rest of the facets, no matter how beautiful they are, about, feeding the poor over here or doing this, helping the homeless over here. None of those other facets really make up for the child assault facet.